are starting the sabai top. Gonna be my second or third official knit project. I've had this yarn sitting in my closet for a few weeks now in anticipation of this knitting vlog, so excited to finally get going on it. So here's the yarn. It's recommended in the pattern, the Sadness Garn line in pearl gray, I think. I've never knit with this material of yarn before, so I'm interested to see how it's gonna work up. But first impressions, it feels reasonably soft, and like it'll make a good airy kind of summer tank, which is exactly what I'm going for. It's funny because I've been sharing my knitting journey with like friends and family, and my mom keeps telling me that I need to knit like a light tank top instead of the sweater that I've been knitting for like months now. So if you're watching this, Mom, this is for you. I have the pattern. Oh, and for sizing, what I did was I measured this knit tank that I have, that I wear a lot, just to get an idea of like what size to go for. And for this one, the chest circumference is about 36 inches. Armhole depth is like 8 inches, and the total length is 18 inches. So I think that puts me at a size small, and I'm just gonna knit it like shorter than the pattern describes. And so I'm gonna get going on the swatch. I forgot to mention that for the yarn, I did order 4 skeins of this from Wool & Co. Based on the pattern, I technically should have ordered 5, but in reading through reviews on Ravelry, and also the fact that I'm gonna make the tank like relatively cropped, I'm hoping that I can get away with 4, but I figured if I do run out, I can always run to my local yarn shop and get more. I believe there's a shop in San Francisco that sells it, but yeah, hoping that 4 will be the right amount. Also, I don't know why, but knitting the swatch is like harder than I remember. I feel like I've been knitting in the round for so long that I forgot what it was like to knit flat.
Alright, hey y'all, quick update. So last night I showed you the swatch that I was pressing, whatever it's called, and I don't have it on me right now, but I just want to let you guys know. So unfortunately the swatch did not turn out how I wanted. It was supposed to be 10 centimeters, but it actually ended up being like 9 centimeters. I'm not really sure why, and I don't have any good ideas. So if y'all have good ideas or really know why, drop a comment and I'll get back to you.
It's the next day. As you can see, I'm cozied up here on the couch, just getting some knitting done. And I wanted to show you guys how my new swatch is looking. I decided to make a new swatch and knit that in the round instead of flat. So here is what that's looking like. It looks insane in the back, but basically, if you're unfamiliar, when you're swatching, you want to make your swatch the same way that you're going to knit your final piece. So because this tank is going to be knitted in the round, which means that it's going to be only knits and no purls, at least for like the main body, I want to make my swatch in the round as well. So basically what I did was, after I knit each row, I'm sliding my work all the way to the end of my now left hand needle, and I'm bringing, let me turn it around. So I'm bringing the working yarn and just carrying it over to the, what is my right side, and kind of just leaving a little bit of slack so that I can continue knitting my stockinette. And so that's creating all this craziness in the back. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to meet gauge doing it this way. I also went up a half size on my needles to a 4.5. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue working on this, and then we'll block it when it's done. Swatches have been blocked and dried. Up here is my first swatch that I made with just 20 stitches knitted flat. And at the bottom is the new one that I made, which I intentionally made bigger and knit this one in the round. So as you can see, this one is measuring a little short at like just over 9 centimeters. But to meet gauge, it would need to be 10. And then when I measured this one and counted the stitches, it was just about at gauge, about 21 stitches per 10 centimeters. So one more stitch than gauge asks for, but I think it'll probably be okay. We'll see. So I think we're gonna go with the 4.5 needles. In terms of the look and feel of the swatches, I'm really liking how this yarn is working up. Like I said, I haven't ever knit with this material and this thickness of yarn before. I believe this is a cotton, viscose, and linen blend. Yeah, that's right. So I was initially a little concerned that going up a hook size would cause the fabric to come out like super holey. And since this is a tank top, that would obviously not be very practical, but I can tell that the second swatch that I made is a little bit thinner and like a little flowier than the first one. And it isn't, I mean, there's obviously holes in it, like you can see the light coming through, but I think like as a garment, it should be just fine and do the job. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to be done with the swatching process and on to the actual fun part. Finished casting on 108 stitches And this is how much yarn I have left on the tail. Part of me wants to just snip it and keep going, but since I might be short on balls of yarn, I think I'm gonna try it again. Take 2. One of these days, I will achieve an efficient long tail cast on. $51, $52, $53, $54, $58, $69, $70, $88, $89, $90, $91, $92, $100, $101, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8. These are my stitch markers. They are the precious metal stitch markers from Coco Knits. I got these from a super cute yarn store down in Monterey like a couple months ago, and this is what they look like. Oops. Placing the first one. Beginning of round. Decided to switch to my shorties because I realized that that cable and long needles were way too long, at least to start with, for the neckline. The reason I wanted to get a good start on this today is because my husband is taking me on my first backpacking trip tomorrow. We're gonna be camping for 2 nights, and I don't think I'll have any cell service, and so I would really love if, when we have downtime, if I could make some progress on this top. So we'll see if that happens. Nowadays, I feel like if I'm going on a trip and I don't have something to work on, either a knitting or a crochet project, like I will go insane. And I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but there is like some amount of planning and anticipating that has to go into like, when am I going to be on this trip, and like where am I going to be in my project, and like how's that going to line up. I will say that it serendipitously worked out for me on the last trip that I was on, which was, or extended trip, I guess, which was a 10-day road trip through some national parks in Utah. And I happened to be working on the body of my step-by-step sweater. So I'd just be sitting like in the back of the car, knitting my stockinette for like rounds and rounds for hours, and it was honestly just the best way to pass the time. I've completed my first round of knitting, which the pattern refers to as a setup round. So basically I just went all the way around, counted my stitches, and placed stitch markers for the right and left shoulders. So I don't know if you can see, but my little tiny stitch markers are here. And oh my gosh, I forgot to even mention that I'm making the sabai top number 1. So the one, I believe it's the original pattern, the one that has like the ribbing on the top and on the sides. I do want to try making the number 2 at some point. I know that one is probably a bit simpler because it's just all stockinette. It's actually like almost 8 p.m. and I haven't eaten dinner, so I'm gonna go do that, and I will check back in when I have more to update.
Giant lucite pendant in the middle.
about to get on this boat that's going to take us all the way over there, where we will start our hike to our campsite. This trip has been quite a long time coming for us. My husband Matt got into backpacking a few years ago and he loved it and has been trying to get me to go on a trip with him ever since. And so we finally made it. I would say that for a first time it went pretty well. It's definitely harder to do anything when you're out there with no running water and conveniences of modern life, but the self-sufficiency aspect was really cool. First dinner. Yummy. All to ourselves. Currently hiking at the Kness Lakes just outside of Yosemite. We're actually backpacking. We got in yesterday afternoon and hiked in about 2 miles to camp, set up, had dinner and everything, and now we're on a 6-mile hike. We kind of had to make our own trail because a lot of the official trail was snowed off, but just look at these views. The sky is so clear today, like not a single cloud. And oh, stargazing last night. I had to wake up in the middle of the night at like 1:30 to pee, and I wasn't even mad about it because the stars were just so bright. Like I could see the whole Milky Way and the constellations. So yeah, having a great time so far. Only downside is the mosquitoes are out in full force, so I've already gotten like, I don't even know, 5 or 6 bites through my clothes. Would love to just jump in this lake. The water looks so enticing. I'm back at the campsite now. I know earlier I said we were doing a 6-mile hike. I may or may not have lost steam about halfway through. So Matt just dropped me off and he's gonna go do like an additional 2 or 3 mile loop and then meet me back at the campsite. So it's just me now. I think what I'm gonna do is do a little bit of knitting. I just changed into my swimsuit and I am really looking forward to getting in the water. Here, let me show you. I mean, yeah. Here's the progress that I made last night knitting by headlamp in the tent. I have one more row to go for like the ribbing part of the neckline, and then I think I move on to dividing the front and the back. I'm not really sure, I have to look at the pattern. But so far it's been pretty straightforward, nothing too complicated. I just have to be careful about reading the pattern and knowing when to do the make ones knitwise versus purlwise, because they kind of alternate on the third and fourth rows. So yeah, I'll try to get a few rows in and check back in a little bit. That water was insanely cold. I guess I should have expected as much, what with it being a glacial lake and all, but yeah, I got like 2 legs in and immediately started feeling like my body was going numb. So clearly I'm not a cold plunge girly, but it was a fun experience nonetheless and feeling refreshed. I'm now at the point where it's time to divide into front and back for the armholes. So I've put my 73 back stitches here on hold on just a cable. Now the pattern says to join the yarn again at the right hand side of the front panel. So at first I wasn't really sure what that meant or how to do that. Like, that's not something I had done before. But I think it looks a little crazy because there's like 4 needles on the work right now. But I ended up grabbing another cable, this time with my regular length needles, and just joining another skein of yarn on this right side of the front. So from here on out, I'm gonna be knitting flat back and forth across the front until I guess I get to the bottom of the armhole, and then I'll switch over to the back. Also, something I've never seen before, the pattern says to cut the working yarn. Right here, I'm always a little nervous to do that, so instead of cutting it, I'm just gonna leave it here for now. I'll just kind of work around it and cut it when it's truly necessary. came to Mono Lake to see these tufas, these crazy looking rock formations sticking out of the water. They're actually like a porous limestone that gets formed when spring water reacts with the lake water. We're told about this place by someone who was on the boat with us on the way out of Saddlebag Lake, and she told us that we should definitely stop by, so we did. Love it when that happens.